right. Hopefully this is the last keynote for the day, and we can go grab a drink after this. My name is Sundeep, and I'm with the product team, and I represent customer engagement and the Adobe Experience Platform and the Coworker. So it's a pleasure to be here back in London with you all. And I guess it goes without saying that we are going through a generational shift, right? And we all can accept that. Customer engagement is not just about the tools we operate, it's also about the teammates that we collaborate with. And in 2024, when we launched AI Assistant, we gave every marketer instant access to answers, and also we democratized insights. But we didn't build AI Assistant as a destination. It was a foundation. It was a launchpad for us. Because asking AI for answers is one thing, but to assign AI a goal and trust it to go execute against your business goals across the entire stack, that's a different game altogether. And here's what makes everything I'm going to talk about so different. Because every innovation I'm going to share with you is built on top of all the applications and the innovation that you already use today. But before I dive in, I do want to acknowledge one key thing. Many of you run marketing operations at massive scale, right? Across various channels and real customer data at the center of everything you do. And you trust Adobe to be part of that foundation. And we don't take that lightly. And everything I'm going to show you today is built on that foundation of trust. So, meet CX Enterprise Coworker. It's powered by our agentic harness, the enterprise-grade engine that can make your business processes agentic with goals that you get to define. And it does it by grounding everything that it does inside your enterprise context. And think of this coworker as a midfielder or the captain of your football team. And the agentic harness, think of this as the stadium infrastructure that makes the game possible. Everything has to be in place, we all know, before the game starts. And you and every one of you, you are the coach. You set the strategy, you define the goals, and you call the plays. And Coworker, along with the rest of the team, be it digital or be it physical resources, orchestrates the team to execute in real time. But unlike any midfielder that we have seen, this one never leaves the stadium. It never loses context and gets smarter with every single play. And the playbook is yours, and the execution is relentless. So what makes the coworker smart from day one? Here's the answer that I want every one of you to hear. And I've had this conversation with many customers over the last 6 to 9 months. We, Adobe, we already know your business because Coworker comes pre-integrated with your favorite applications from Adobe. Be it Workfront, be it Real-Time CDP, be it Marketo, be it Target, AEM, and all the other applications. Years and years of your team's work, your campaign logic, your taxonomy, your audience definitions, your journey designs, it's already captured in these applications that you use today. We preload all of that business context, skills, and governance from that wealth of knowledge instantly. We say this, we want to give you the best unboxing experience for customer experiences. And the more you use it, and the more we innovate our own products, the smarter it gets. Business context that can compound with every new innovation and every workflow and every campaign that you run. It's like your new team member showed up with 10 years of institutional knowledge baked into their DNA. Every brief read, every campaign brief studied, every journey memorized, zero ramp up and full speed from day one. That's our goal. So what is the coworker made of, right? Let's unpack the building blocks. There are 5 of these. Business context, long-term memory, governance, skills, and agentic workflow builder. Let's dive into each of these, starting with business context. Because without business context, we all know, right? So AI is basically a smart stranger. Coworker, because it understands your business, your brand taxonomy, your corporate goals, your campaign calendars, your customer segmentation, and others, it can reason like a veteran on your marketing team. It already knows the difference between your loyalty tiers, your seasonal peaks, and which offers are in flight at any point in time. The intelligence is real because the grounding is real. Now, Coworker just does not complete tasks. It remembers what to do. And this memory, by the way, is shared across every agent in the workflow and every team member that's in the loop. That way, the context is not lost between handoffs, and no more starting from scratch when a new team member joins your team. And here's what makes the coworker truly powerful: long-term memory. Because the memory is built for these long-running workflows, not just a simple task that it needs to go automate. And when coworker learns something meaningful, let's say there's a pattern that worked, right? Your governance layers, they have to get updated, right? Or a new business rule that needs to be codified. It writes that learning back into the business context or into your governance layer. So the intelligence doesn't just persist across one workflow, it compounds across all of these workflows. Next, let's talk about governance. Now, here's the thing about governance, right? Back to what I was talking about. Most of you have already done the work, right? Let's start with simple things. Role-based access control, that's already defined in all these applications. You've set your data labeling policies in AEP or in RTCDP. Your consent policies have already been defined. Be it your engagement applications like Marketo, like Target, like Campen and AGO, where you've defined your communication policies, your decisioning rules, etc. They've been coded. Your brand guidelines have been defined in Gen Studio. Coworker inherits all of it. And your brand guidelines, your communication rules, and everything else I've talked about is persisted and is remembered across every team and across every business unit. It's encoded and it is respected because it not only knows what it can do, but it knows what it should do. Because guardrails are built in, they're not bolted on. That's the key distinction. Next, let's talk about skills and agents, right? How does coworker actually get work done? It's through their skills and agents. The expertise of every specialist agent in your ecosystem, it's all packaged and ready for invocation. Purpose-built agents that we talked about at Summit last year, right? We shipped about 13 of them across data, content, journeys, insights, and more. Experimentation is another one. Coworker knows which agent and which skill to invoke and in what sequence and when to hand off to humans. Think of this as like your quarterback in American football. Someone who knows every receiver's route, every lineman's position, and defensive formations. Coworker doesn't just do everything itself. It knows exactly when to hand off to whom, when to call an audible, and when to move the ball down the field. It's the right skill, the right human, the right agent at the right time. And the final building block is where your team takes the wheel and guides and teaches the coworker. It's the agentic workflow builder. This is where you design your own business processes and your coworker can go execute autonomously or with human checkpoints. You get to define the goals, you set your guardrails, and you decide when the coworker can act alone and when it needs to wait for instructions from one of your team members. Think of this as programming your quarterback's playbook. The more precisely you define these plays, the more precisely the coworker can execute, because it is your process and your rules, and therefore it's going to be your coworker. Now, before we get to demos and see some of this in action through products, let's just talk about AI autonomy. I think Sunil talked about this in one of the sessions earlier today. We see 4 levels of AI autonomy and AI maturity: assisted, augmented, autonomous, and self-directed. So let's start with each of these, right? Assisted is where, for example, with AI Assistant, right, you get instant answers to your questions, operational insights, and natural language access to data, right? We launched this about 18 months ago. Augmented is where AI can do multi-turn, domain-specific automation of tasks. Build me an audience, get me some insights, design a journey for me, etc., right? So all of the agents that we shipped live at this tier, executing complex, multi-turn tasks with AI reasoning. But then AI doesn't stop there, right? And this is where we can get AI to drive automation of end-to-end workflows with goals that you define. I think that's the era that we are in right now. Be it operational workflows, be it engagement workflows, be it campaign workflows, running with AI orchestration and human-agent collaboration. And the last stage is self-directed, right? This is the aspirational end state that we all talk about, right? Where AI can set its own goals, can self-correct, can automate. We all sit back and we can just watch AI run everything. Well, We'll see, right, if that actually happens or not. Everything that we've done up until now, right, over the last 2 years, describes level 1 and level 2 autonomy. Coworker subsumes all of it. And I want to make that very clear because that's a question I get all the time. Right? What happened to all the agents? What happened to AI assistant? What about agent orchestrator? It all actually is part of coworkers. Coworker subsumes all of it. And it gives you new incremental capabilities. So that way you can operate at level 3. So now let's look at some of these workflows, right? So I talked about operational workflows, I talked about engagement workflows, and I talked about new campaign creation workflows. Let's start with operational workflows. So you can tell the coworker, supervise my daily feeds, detect any delays, pause what needs to be paused, resume when upstream systems are healthy, and alert team members when it needs help. Right? So with that simple prompt, you can make sure that your systems are healthy all the time. Because one bad feed can corrupt your profiles, can derail journeys, and actually it can stop and kill live campaigns. Coworker can not only just notify, it's already detecting and repairing a whole bunch of these steps for the customers who are actively using it today. Think of this like a control tower that never sleeps. So your team can wake up to a healthy system every morning. Next, let's look at engagement workflows. Just like in operational workflows, think of giving this a prompt. Supervise my evergreen journeys, the rinse and repeat style campaigns that you might be running, track any deviations, fix what you can, and also recommend new paths as channel preferences shift. Okay? So, and then when you need help, ask me for help, right? With that one single prompt and instruction, you can replace hours and hours of manual monitoring because Coworker is now able to automate all of these activities for you. It can keep a pulse on every single journey. It can act on what it can. It can surface only the decisions that require your input. Less noise, more signal, and faster outcomes. Third, campaign workflows. This morning in the main stage keynote, you saw how Coworker can respond to market signals. This is where Coworker actually can earn its place on your team. Because you can give it a brief, you can give it a prompt, or you can give it some direction. It can ideate new campaigns for you with full awareness of everything that's happened up until that point. You can then drive the field, down the field, require the approvals that need to be secured. It can do the quality assurance and make sure that every checkpoint is met from ideation all the way through to launch. Insights-driven ideation to live campaign in hours is what the aspirational end state should be. And that's the new competitive mode for all of us. So there it is. That's the coworker that understands your business. It remembers everything. It can govern itself. It can invoke human intervention where it's needed because it's already wired into your Adobe stack. Now, the only question is, depending on where we are on that spectrum, right, how much further we can push our organization with the right teammate by your side. And CX Coworker is not just a promise that we talked about. It's now real, it's GA, right, and today is where it begins. Before we get to a demonstration, I also want to talk about innovations inside existing applications that many of you use today. So let's start with B2B-centric innovations, because without that, right, Coworker, the building blocks and the workflows, it's only incremental to what it can get done, right? It's grounded in a set of these concrete innovations across all of our applications. So let's start with B2C. In our Journey Optimizer, we have delivered a brand new module called AJO Loyalty. And we also added critical enhancements to the Journey agent, giving marketers in this room and also globally agentic control over how they design and optimize customer journeys in real time. And in CX Analytics, we've launched an always-on agentic analyst that can span marketing campaign analytics, root cause analysis, and conversational insights. So that way you spend less time diagnosing problems and you spend more time acting. And in real-time CDP, we've expanded the customer profile for the agentic era with increased flexibility and operational scale, and also a semantic understanding of profile that's gleaned from swaths and swaths of unstructured data that's coming at us really fast. We also added new data collaboration capabilities for agencies and media networks, and with agentic extensibility, you can bring your own agents and bring in either internal models, third-party agents, or domain-specific expertise. And to bring all of this to life through a demonstration, please join me in welcoming Annmarie on stage. Annmarie, please join me.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Sundeep. I have the lovely job of taking you along and bringing this to life for you. Let's see if my laptop wants to cooperate, and it does. That's great. All right, well, before I set off, I want to say a big thank you to Intuit, who allowed us to lend their brand to show you our vision on this. Now, the data and the workflows that you'll be seeing, they're all fictitious in this demo, but the use case is very real. Now, Intuit is a global brand, and here in the UK, they're best known for their product QuickBooks, which helps businesses to manage their finances, be compliant, and also do things like reporting tasks. So today we're going to step into the world of a marketer at Intuit for QuickBooks. And we're looking at the peak of tax reporting season. So this is all about, your self-assessment, VAT submissions, and other types of compliance and new digital requirements that might pop up from HMRC. The customers of QuickBooks, they're feeling the pressure, right? And usually at this point in time, we're slightly too late in starting our reporting. So they're looking for guidance. They're looking for a little bit of support. And that's where the chance for Intuit is. They have to respond. And for me, as a marketer, it's my job to make sure that I turn that into action. So that's setting the scene. I know that things like VAT and tax submissions, it doesn't sound very thrilling, but for the businesses that have to do this, it's very real. So let's dive into the demo. Luckily, as a marketeer, I don't have to do any of this alone because I have Adobe CX Enterprise Coworker to help me with that. And Coworker really is the layer that sits on top of all the other capabilities that are running. It's my agentic orchestrator. It's coordinating between Adobe agents and skills, but also into its own enterprise tools and many other capabilities that are there. And I also want to mention that it's not just another dashboard. It understands the business context and helps me to move things forward towards the defined business outcome. Let's head in. I'm here in the home of Coworker, and I'm going to dive into our projects. Now, the projects are running at this moment, and these are the agentic workflows that are happening in real time. And they can be segmented into regions, but also customer lifecycle stage, or any of the other things that are relevant for a campaign. In this case, we're going to head into our UK project. So that's happening right here. And Coworker is bringing together all the different moving parts for me. It is the different Adobe applications that you can see here mentioned as well, together with my enterprise tools and other systems that are relevant. So instead of having to jump between tabs, chats, different solutions, I have everything together in one joined up view that allows me to have a really good overview of what's happening when. Now here at the top, you can see the work nodes, and you can understand the work nodes as kind of being the different tasks that Coworker can perform and can orchestrate between. So it's a combination of agents, of the marketing and creative teams, everything that you'll need in the process. You can also see the journey that's built into this project, and if we go down, you have information about the audience that's relevant for this one. I have the opportunity to make edits right here via the different applications, or I can do that conversationally through the chat interface. Now, I don't have to go hunting for insights either, because Coworker is doing that for me. And right from here, my starting point, I have direct access to my performance dashboard in CX Analytics. So let's have a look. CX Analytics will show me what's working, what might need some tweaks, and what I should probably focus on next. We can see here different types of data and information that will help me on my path. And overall, at the top, we have our summary. Things are looking okay. We can see that chat interactions are up, engagement's quite high, and ROI is trending in the right direction. All wonderful, but we also know that averages can hide a lot. So what I will use Coworker for now is to proactively service some of the things that I might be missing. If we go one step deeper and I ask it to show me some of the insights, then here we can see that after it has looked in all the data that it has access to, that there's an interesting spike in requests for compliance support that has happened over the past couple of days. Now, I'm curious. I want to know why this is happening, so I'm going to explore. What is the potential cause of this spike? And we go into our conversational interface, and you can see that the context that we just had is all taken into this, and this is my new working plot, where I can start looking into things and digging down. So here we see that we have a little bit better idea of what's happening, what is the reason for this spike. And we can see that there's been some HMRC changes that made people look into things a little more clearly. They need some guidance here. This brings business context together with data, because without it, it's just noise, right? With it, it's true understanding. And here's the bit I really like, because a traditional dashboard might tell me compliance questions are up, which is great, it's useful, but it's also slightly stressful because now it's my problem. Coworker will help me actually solve it. It goes further. It will tell me why it's happening, who is affected, and what to do about it. So the difference is that you're not just reporting on the work, but you're helping to move that work forward. So let's see what Coworker suggests that we do. I can enter a prompt, and I ask it to recommend an update to the journey to make sure that we can help these people who are looking for information. It will have a think, and then it will do something about it. Here we can see that it recommends me to add the Intuit Tax Advisor agent into the journey. Because it uses AI extensibility, it allows Intuit to add their own specialist agents and skills right into the Adobe workflow. So it's becoming an interesting combination. It all happens safely and within the context that is set. So the Intuit agent can pull in local tax advisor information like location, opening hours, and even availability. It's exactly the help that this customer with questions and looking for guidance needs at this moment. So I think it's a great idea, and I apologize for anything popping up. So we're going to integrate the tax advisor agent into my journey. Here we have it. I think it's a good idea. We're all done. Behind the scenes, Coworker is now orchestrating several things. There's opportunity detection, journey design, optimization, and also monitoring happening. So it's all driven through quite simple conversational and natural language design interface. So let's have a further look. We have now moved from insight into action. The spike in questions has been turned from a report into a fully orchestrated journey. Now, because I'm an amazing marketeer, I've already added channel optimization and offer selection. Well, if you're promised to not take it out of this room, this has been done by the agents that I've delegated to do that for me. What we also have here is the tab called Optimization. And this will tell me more about the people that actually need help. Like, what are they talking about? What do they want to know? And what support is most relevant to them? We can see some of the question topics and also what types of people and types of customers they are. We have people asking about VAT and have queries about that. There's some landlords. And this group, they might be interested in getting a helping hand from an accountant or a tax advisor. So we're not just answering a question, but we're offering the right support, the right guidance at the time that they need it most. The journey has been adapted using Intuit's own insights and recommendations. There's no guesswork going on here. And CX Coworker keeps it all joined up. We have the agents, the channels, the decisions, and the systems behind the scenes. And what you can see here, the Intuit Tax Advisor agent sits alongside the Adobe skills and agents that are present as well. Now, it all looks amazing, but before I launch this, I want to test it, because I do love AI, and it's helped me a lot, but I want to make sure that I don't get any surprises when we go to production. So I want to run a simulation and do some proper QA. And I can do that right here, again, from the conversational interface. It's already suggested that I do this for me. So we're running the simulation, and once it's done, you can see that I have 150 test profiles that are generated on the fly. And here we can see exactly what path they might be following, what decisions are made, what messages might be presented for them. That's looking good, but I want to go one level deeper. I want to see one specific profile. What would that mean for this potential customer or customer? You can see exactly what this person is experiencing, which path they are taking, what message they can be seeing, and also why. Because all of this is not just about speed and working faster, but is about having the confidence to actually launch this journey. Every offer, every decision, every message is logged and stored for audit and compliance reasons. Guardrails are not bolted on, but they are built in. And with that, I'll hand back to Sundeep.
Thank you, Annmarie. So as you guys can see, think of Coworker as that agentic glue that sits across not just Adobe applications, but also across your enterprise applications and also agents that your team has built. And that's exactly what Intuit has done. So now let's just switch gears and talk about innovations on the B2B side. For market-to engage customers, we are bringing two game-changing innovations. First, there's a new tier of Journey Optimizer B2B that leverages your market-to engage data and all the data structures to enable a fast and seamless path to next-generation B2B use cases with AI-based decisioning. Also, a brand new interface for market-to engage customers with Agentic AI front and center. We call this the Marketo AI, tying AI innovations in Marketo directly to Coworker, just like what we've done with the rest of the applications, bringing intelligence deeper into B2B engagement at every stage of that funnel. Now, let's just go back to the demo, and Annmarie, can you show us some of the B2B innovations?
Let's do that. So I'm stepping into the role of someone on the sales team. Could be a BDR, could be an account exec, anything you can imagine. Because we have to make sure that the people who have shown interest will actually get what they need as well. So enter sales qualifier, which you can see right here. So this helps sales teams turn those insights into actual action. It will spot the right prospects, it will qualify them, and it will also give sales a much stronger starting point from the get-go. So here, we have this group of people that have actively shown interest in the type of support that we can give them. I want to explore a little bit more. I click View, and here I see all my prospects that could be part of my new nurture or new lead nurture campaign. I'm going to select all of them and enroll the prospects into the campaign. And here, within just a few seconds, a BDR can have a full view of a profile of a prospect, all the information that you need. So this is great. And we can go even further, because Sales Qualifier also lets you generate touch points. In this case, I'm going to pick our friend Brenda again. And what this does is Sales Qualifier can then go to the next step. It can draft personalized emails, LinkedIn messages, or even schedule meetings if you would want to. I think it's a great idea. I approve, and I'm going to enroll all my prospects. And there we have it. Our B2B team is now off to a flying start. Much faster outreach, the communication is much more personalized, and there's a higher conversion in half the time. And that really is the power of Coworker. It's not just better decisions, not just better experiences, but it helps teams move forward together.
Thank you, Annmarie. So for next year, if you can find an AI that can do my taxes and get me some money back,
I would sign up for that.
That'd be exciting. Right, so thank you. Another round of applause for Annmarie, please. Thank you. Let's spend a few minutes and talk a bit more about the Coworker. By the way, we announced Coworker at Summit in Vegas in April this year, and as of June, is GA, and we have a whole bunch of customers already deploying their use cases, and it's super exciting. Now, the first 4 building blocks is what you actually saw in action, right? So this is the run the business style, creating projects and using conversational interface to get your work done, right? With business context, memory, skills, and governance. The last dimension, the last building block is what makes the Coworker truly unstoppable and truly yours. And that's the agentic workflow builder. Let's dig a little deeper into that. This is the surface where you design your business process for the Coworker to go execute, either autonomously or with human intervention. And the builder allows you to create agents or bring and register your own agents into the harness. And your team can set goals and guardrails and let the Coworker get to action. And by the way, even preceding the launch, we've talked to a whole bunch of customers, and we have 100+ customers like I said, who are actively testing and deploying their use cases. And by the way, some of them are going live in the next month and two. And that's super exciting for us. And we're seeing a whole bunch of use cases that our customers are trying to deploy. All the way from simple multi-turn audience automation through to end-to-end campaign creation and offer automation. But with all the excitement, of course, there's a whole bunch of challenges and also questions that pop up, right? How do I incorporate these agents into my actual workflows with minimal disruption? Right? That's one question. How do I make sure that these agents and the coworker doesn't go off the rails and can respect my governance policies? And most importantly, how do I prove that the work that it does is accomplishing the goals that I've put in place? Now, with the Workflow Builder, we actually are investing in a set of tools across these agentic skills and also a canvas that you get to control, where you can seamlessly test, deploy, and evaluate success with real-time monitoring. And it's backed by full governance, like I mentioned before, and it's backed by all the Adobe applications, and it's flexible to support various frontier models from companies like OpenAI, like Anthropic, like Google, whatnot. And here's the best part. It's a low-code, no-code environment, so the teams that actually are designing these workflows, not just developers, can design those workflows and put them into production. You set the playbook, and the coworker will run them for you. And it's continuously learning from your teams with constant supervision. And to see the Agentic Workflow Builder in action, please join me in welcoming Richard to stage.
Thanks, Sundeep. So welcome again to CX Enterprise Coworker, your command center where all of my agents come to life and live happily together. So here in my overview tab, I have a list of agents. I can create, I can customize, and I can coordinate those agents within an agentic workflow. These agents are drawing intelligence from Adobe applications such as Real-Time CDP, Journey Optimizer, and Customer Journey Analytics. We can also surface MCP tools, so I'm always keeping track of what's being updated and what's running live. Now, as we move into the Agents tab, I have a list of agents, some built by Adobe and some built by you. Now, to bring one of these agents to life, last week we ran a large campaign, and we want to ensure that engagement is high, but we're not burning out that audience. And that is a classic use case for our traffic control agent. So here we have a simplified agent view where I can see a goal, I can see the skills, I can see connected data, and I can also track its ROI. Now back to that trusted traffic control agent. The goal here is to maximize engagement quality by eliminating journey conflicts and preventing overexposure. We're essentially trying to ensure that customers are not in over 50 journeys all at the same time. And it does that by enforcing a rich set of skills, such as audience overlap, priority arbitration, and cooldown enforcement. If we take audience overlap as an example, are we over-messaging? Is the audience fatigued? And if the answer is yes, it moves customers into the right prioritized journey. You can kind of think of it as the bouncer of the agent. And we can also customize this skill. So here we have an overlap threshold. We can change that from 10% to 20%. Again, just showing how easy it is to customize these skills on the fly. Now, the skills are looking great and the agents are my building blocks, but I need them to start to operate within business processes that I can dictate. And that is where agentic workflows come in. I can see that my agents already are part of a number of workflows. So let's check one out. So here, this is Adobe's Agentic Workflow Builder, where I can combine agents, tools, and marketer control to help orchestrate business processes within an agentic workflow. Now, the goal of this workflow is to accelerate and scale engagement. So we're constantly monitoring that engagement, and as soon as we see a dip, the traffic control agent steps in, and the workflow is triggered. And this is how we go from insight to action. Once that workflow is triggered by the agent, the skills are activated. It pulls in data from real-time CDP for audience qualification and Marketer Engage for campaign performance. It intelligently clusters that audience together and hands it over to the decisioning agent. Now, if you're like me and you're a little bit indecisive at times, this is where decisioning agent really earns its keep. It's constantly monitoring performance against different channels, such as email, paid media, and SMS, along with different content pools. And actually, for this particular workflow, I have less focus on educational content, so I can easily just remove that. Again, that ease of updating and amending these agents and skills on the fly. Once that decisioning agent has teed up a winning recommendation, it makes sense to bring a human into the loop. And this is where we can move on a human approval node. Because let's remember, agents operate, but humans govern. We always want to ensure that the marketer is still in control. And finally, we want a governance check. This time we can use the conversational AI, the conversational UI, to add a governance check. So through a simple text prompt, we can add that governance check and ensure that this workflow is running with brand compliance and targeting rules all on brand. So this is looking great, and I'm ready to activate this workflow. So I can publish that and send this live. Now my agents are running, and it's running alongside an always-on workflow. But I'm kind of snoopy by nature as well, and I always want to know what is going on. So I can go into the live activity stream, and I can see exactly what's going on at any moment in time. And I can see that the engagement dropped below that threshold that we set. The traffic control agent stepped in right away. It activated skills for audience overlap and journey conflicts. It pulled in data from real-time CDP and Marketo Engage. It handed that audience over to the decisioning agent, and it looks like the decisioning agent prepared a recommendation to reallocate some marketing budget into paid media. That reallocation of budget would naturally need human approval. So that's where that approval loop went in. And finally, once it had been signed off, it came back, it went through the governance agent to check for brand compliance, and the workflow was activated. And it looks like a paid media campaign to LinkedIn went live. And the reactions speak for themselves. It's clearly the decisioning agent has made the right decision based on business processes that we built together. And we can also keep track of everything that's transpired to get us here. And that is how you deliver AI ROI, by circumventing weeks of meetings and planning. So in summary, the CX Enterprise Coworker, I can create, I can customize, and I can coordinate agents within an agentic workflow. And that is how you go from monitoring insights to activating impact. Back to you, Sundeep.
Thank you, Richard. I like the way you stuck in live happily ever after.
Always.
What if you have a grumpy agent in the mix?
I'm sure we can do something about
All right,
that.
so thank you. That was a cool demonstration. I know we're running short on time. Let's get to the next set of slides, if we can. Okay, all right. So we have one more vignette to get to. Now, if you're a 50,000 person large global enterprise or a 100-person startup, the need for agility, we all know, is universal, right? What you saw is CX Coworker complementing what you do today inside the Adobe applications and giving you agentic automation, right? But most of what you saw typically works in a large enterprise context. For lean, smaller teams inside startups or for departmental use cases, we launched a new module for CX Coworker called CX Enterprise Coworker Campaigns. It's an all-in-one agentic product for growth marketing teams. It takes you from prompt to campaign launch through simple conversations without the need for any additional applications. Right? So that's another addition that we announced. Under the hood, we took a set of capabilities, horizontal capabilities across our applications, across data, content, journeys, etc., and we brought it together into one place. The whole thing started, by the way, as an internal experiment, and we worked with early design partners. And the question was, can we make these agile teams super productive, maybe 10x more productive? And turns out that experiment is now real. So, Richard, let's show the campaigns module.
Thank you. So for this demo, I'd like to thank RainFocus for lending us their brand. The data workflows are fictitious, but the use case is very real. And for those of you who don't know RainFocus, they are a leading platform for event management and attendee engagement. Now for Rain Focus, I want to create a multi-touch campaign from scratch using AI, and that's to drive engagement across a number of different industry segments, such as financial services, technology, and retail. So let's start by plugging in a prompt and adding an audience via a CSV file and a campaign brief. And by adding that in, we can then start to build out a plan. Now, the plan that's coming through, I love this plan and I want to build it out. And from a single prompt click, it's building out a semi-autonomous campaign board. It's building out the campaign settings based on the brief that I uploaded. The target audience is coming through based on that CSV. And then the creative is starting to be built from the AI as well. Now, there's a lot going on here, so let's dig into some of the building blocks. Firstly, I love the fact that I can upload a brand kit so that everything maintains my business DNA. Also, I can upload the knowledge sources, so I get that higher level of confidence around where all of the information is coming from. I can always track it back to the source. Now, in this instance, I uploaded the audience via a CSV, but I didn't need to map to a data model. The AI did that for me, and again, that's an instant value add. But if I didn't upload a CSV, I could also connect to a range of sources, such as HubSpot, Marketo, and other Adobe applications. And then we go into the campaign creative. So the AI is building out the subject lines, it's building out the body copy, and it's building out multiple variants for testing. It's essentially raining options, and here at Rain Focus, we love that kind of forecast. We can also open up the editor at any point. We can tweak the messaging conversationally, but because the campaign and the creative is built using our brand context, it's always grounded in the business DNA. So actually what's being produced here, I'm happy with. Those creatives and campaign assets are then stitched back into a journey, and the complex logic and decisioning is all handled by AI. So there it is. We built a campaign from scratch using AI, and it's smooth and on point. But optimization of this campaign is also a significant value add. Over here, you can see that there's a number of recommendations and content nudges that are being provided to me. So there's one here for optimizing content personalization. Now, Adobe's Engagement Intelligence, it surfaces industry-specific recommendations that add value and drive impact. So needless to say, I'm going to add that content personalization, and I'm going to tee this up for approval. Once it's been approved, I'm ready to activate that campaign. And there it is. But as marketers, we're always faced with needing to provide marketing ROI and impact right away. So we also have a campaign insights dashboard. So it's pulling through some great metrics, but I can also ask questions of the data and drill down further to find specific metrics that interest me. Now, I've managed to build this campaign from scratch from a single prompt in just a matter of minutes. And that is how Adobe empowers marketers to skip the chaos and go from ideation to campaign launch in minutes instead of days.
Thank you, Richard. That was a punny plug.
There we
what
go.
you say, the forecast is raining engagement.
We're raining options, but here at Rain Focus, we love that forecast.
Thank you. Once again, please give Richard a round of applause. So by the way, you can go to business.adobe.com, look for the coworker. You can sign up for a trial today. Okay, give it a shot, right? For those of you who want to just get your feet wet, give it a shot. And if coworker caught your attention, we would love to hear from you. Like I said, we are co-developing, co-innovating with a whole bunch of customers. And if you want to join us, be in one of our pods, that's the QR code. Please get in touch with us, and we would love to keep you updated as the story unfolds. I have a couple more QR codes I just want to quickly call out. We also have what we call the CX AI Maturity Index that we launched at Summit. It's an interactive diagnostic experience designed to help you make this shift. It's a tool. It can do an assessment of how AI is being applied to power customer experiences across your portfolio, and you can give this a shot. So thank you again for your time, and let's explore the future together.